Welcome back to Grumpy Vet Garage. Many half-ton and three-quarter-ton trucks have great tow ratings and the capability of towing really large trailers. Despite the great tow rating, many trucks, including my 2007 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD, don't come with OEM tow mirrors. We're going to solve that problem today and install tow mirrors from Boost Auto on my Chevy Silverado. I would like to thank Boost Auto for sponsoring and providing the mirrors for this video. Boost Auto has truck parts and accessories including tow mirrors, but also running boards, cab lights, key fobs, and many more for GM, Ford, Ram, Jeep, and Toyota trucks. Their website is great and easy to use. I'll leave a link to their website in the video description. Go over there and check them out and see what they have for your vehicle. Let's go ahead and look at the Boost Auto mirrors and I'll show you the options that I chose. So here are the mirrors. I went ahead and optioned for the black texture to match what was already OE on my truck. I want these to blend in. I want them to look like they're supposed to be there, not like something aftermarket that I did. All the required wiring to make everything work. These are power fold mirrors. Granted, my OE mirrors are also power fold, but if you don't have power fold, they can still option to make these power fold on your truck. But yeah, it has all the wiring you need, all the hardware and additional wiring, fuse taps. Everything is included in the kit. The instructions for installing is actually online. When you go to the Boost Auto website, they give you a link to the instructions. I'm going to go over the instructions here too, so you can use my video as instructions, but also they have instructions online. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the old sport mirrors off the truck and install the Boost Auto tow mirrors. So first steps is going to be to go ahead and put down both of your windows. The reason being, you're going to need to be reaching inside and outside at the same time, and the window is going to be in the way. So go ahead and roll down both windows. Then you'll need to go ahead and disconnect the battery underneath the hood. I need to go ahead and clean up underneath the hood. It's dirtier than I thought it would be. But since mine's a diesel, I have two batteries, so you're going to need to disconnect both batteries if you have two. And if you have one battery, of course, it's one. So with windows down and both batteries disconnected, now we need to go ahead and remove the door panels, and then the triangle panel here. That's what actually has the mounting hardware and the wiring come through. I'm going to leave a link to another video where I removed the door panel. In fact, I repaired this portion of the switch panel that was broken. So I'll leave that a link to that on the screen and also in the video description. But I'm going to go ahead and move forward and remove both door panels. Door panels removed. So is the triangle panel. Now we need to go ahead and get this harness free. It's held in place with clips on the actual door panel. So come in with a trim tool and pull those free. And then also remove this foam piece. Save it. You're going to reuse it. And behind it is 3 10mm nuts. That's what physically mounts the mirror to the door. So we'll loosen those up. We'll have to feed the harness through and then pull the mirror free. Mirror removed. I went ahead and cleaned up the outside surface, but now we can go ahead and already move forward with installing the Boost Auto tow mirror. And here's a good side-by-side perspective, and you can see just inherently, without even being extended, how much larger the Boost Auto mirrors are than the factory sport mirrors. Additionally, before I forget, on the Boost Auto harness, you need to disconnect this section and then this module off the harness. That's mainly because it's not going to fit through the hole in the door. You need the wiring to go through this hole, so you disconnect them so that you can feed it through. But those harnesses can only go back one way, so don't worry about like, oh, I'm going to disconnect it and put it back together wrong. You really can't. And these are the two sections you need to disconnect so that you can put this through the hole in the door. So I always try to get on any kind of fastener what the actual torque spec is. It's really just snug, but technically by GM, it's 80 inch-pounds. Not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. And I'm just pulling these in slowly. Okay, now we can go ahead and put the clips back. Boost Auto was nice enough to put the actual clips you need, replacements, in the correct place, but also go ahead and put your modules that you removed, put them back on the harness. And then Boost Auto suggests that you turn around and tape this assembly together, just so this isn't flopping around underneath your door panel. Okay, so foam's back in, this is ran. I went ahead and attached back the extension, but now we have to get out this accessory harness. Pretty long. Here's the other one, it's all wrapped up. It took a little bit of time to untangle it, and that's why I put some tape on it every so often to kind of straighten it out. But this is going to be the power source to the mirror for running lights, turn signal, and then the spotlight or floodlight, depending on what option you get. But this has to run back into the cab, and it does that through this boot. So when you look at the harness, part of the harness goes down right here and then runs into this compartment here. And then that actually goes through the boot. So I'm going to try to match up this harness going back down through, and then I'm going to pop that boot off, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Okay, so to help run the wires, Boost Auto suggests a flexible piece of metal. I'm using a part of a clothes hanger that I've cut, and then I have taped to the end of the wires. This will help you place it into individual places that we need to get to, because again, we're needing to go down through here up to this boot and over. And as you can see, I went ahead and popped this boot out, and I'm gonna do the same over here, but you see the top right here? That needs to be pressed down for this boot to lift out. And then when you're done, it can pop back in place. But we need to get the wires through that boot and then into the cab right about in here. So the harness is through this boot coming out of the door. I still need to get it into the cab. There is a plastic piece down here that you can't get it through without removing that kick panel here. So lift up on the trim on the rocker, and then this kick panel has a clip here. Let me flip it over. It has a clip here and there. So 2 clips, and they come out back from where they lock in. And then you can see the open hole now. Well, hold on. It's hard to get on camera, but there's now an open hole. You can clearly see where the wires are going to come through, but we need them to come up into this general area right here. The passenger side door kind of gives you more ability to see, seeing how the plastic is gone. But what I did was wrap the wiring best I could, trying to keep it away from metal edges, especially like this right here. I zip tied on the bottom of this harness on both sides, and then I'm using electrical tape in some spots like over here, but this is Tessa tape, which is like a fabric tape. I've used this numerous times in projects on my truck and cars, but it's really good for protecting wires. So I ran it pretty far, and I may end up running it underneath the dash too, but I thought this was a good way to show you. You need to avoid these sharp edges as we route it through that boot. Also, when you're using the metal hanger or whatever you use to go through that boot, don't force it. You don't want to tear this. This is what's keeping moisture out of your wiring under the dash and in the door. So be careful going through that with whatever metal you're using. So the wires run through the conduit and it's underneath the dash. Now we need to run it across beyond the console over to the driver's side. I went ahead and used the Tessa tape here to protect the wires. There's some sharp edges underneath the dash, but my plan is to run it across using my coat hanger to fish it, and then use zip ties to hold it in place where appropriate as it gets over to the driver's wheel well. Okay, so we have our driver's side mirror wiring, and this is the passenger side mirror wiring underneath the dash. What we need to do, let me break down the wires real quick. So the wires are gray, orange, and white. If you didn't option for like a running light, then you're not going to use the orange, and it's just going to be the gray and the white. But I have all three, so this procedure is going to, work with all three. But basically what you're needing to do is combine however you want to do it. I'm going to try to make it as tidy as possible. I would encourage you to do the same. But we're going to take the gray wire, we're going to put it together with the supplied butt connector. Well, not butt connector, but ring terminal connector. And then that ring terminal is going to be attached as the ground. So here is the OBD2 port. The nut right here, where my finger is, I'm going to pull my finger away. That nut, we're going to put the ring terminal on there, and that's going to ground the system. The other wires are going to be connected together. So we're going to turn around and get to length the driver's side wire, the white wire, and we're going to connect it to the white wire from the passenger side. And then the part we cut off from this side is going to be our extension going forward into the engine bay. And we're going to do the same procedure for the orange wire as well. And the orange and white are going to get power from fuse taps underneath the hood. So grays together for ground, whites together with the white that you cut off extended so we can go forward. The oranges together with the extra orange cut off and connected to go forward, and then we would go underneath the hood. So making the wire connections, I'm still going to use the ring terminals provided by Boost Auto, but the other connections, I'm going to use solder splices with a heat gun, put some heat shrink over it. This is a stripper crimper that's good, but I like to use these crimpers for these style of terminals. But again, it being underneath the dash, whatever you want to use would probably be fine, seeing as how there shouldn't be water underneath the dash. So a watertight connection is really not that necessary, but this is what I'm going to use. I'll leave a link to all this stuff in the video description, but again, however you want to connect it is really up to you. Okay, so I'm going to try to use a light so you can see it. So where the grounds come together right there. And then I have the white wires together and the orange wires together, solder splices, and then I put a heat shrink over it. But this location is important because I've passed through in this general region where we're going to go into the engine bay. So coming over into the engine bay, you see the fuse box, but right there, the big boot, you see the white piece of metal sticking in it. That's where I'm passing it through. Right there. I had already ran a gauge for my edge tuner, a gauge wire, I should say a sensor wire through there. So it was a previous pass through that I had used. You're going to want to continue to do something like that. Use a pass through that you've already used. That boot is big enough though to easily get the wire we need into there. There isn't a hole in it. So I put like an X cut there with a blade years ago, and I just reused that. Back under the dash, it's really hard to see it, but I can see the wire coming through. We're going to need to take these wires, go forward, and then tape them with electrical tape to that so we can pull these wires through to the engine bay. I'm going to wrap these up pretty nice with my Tessa tape. Spend a lot of money on Tessa tape, but do it however you want to do it. But that would be how I would suggest to get these wires into the engine bay. Okay, so we have the wires pulled through the boot that I talked about, and now we're going to try to install the fuse taps. So what we're going to end up doing is for the orange wire, we're going to be using the trailer park fuse, and for the white wire, we're going to use the trailer backup fuse. When you look underneath the lid, you can actually see trailer park, trailer backup. So that's going to move over to this 15 amp right here, and then that 10 amp right there. I'm going to go ahead and move those fuses over to the fuse taps, and then that way it'll give me how much wire I need to cut off to make my splice onto the fuse taps with these wires. So I made my solder connections, again, orange to the 15 amp and then the white to the 10 amp. But yeah, now I'm just going to put some heat shrink over the top of this and tuck it all the way. So installation of the mirrors are complete. Changing the actual mirrors is not very difficult. It's actually pretty quick. Running the wiring from the passenger side to the driver's side is probably one of the more lengthy parts, but the wiring itself connecting using a few splices and fuse tabs is actually pretty easy and straightforward. Just got to follow the directions of either this video or from Boost Auto. This is definitely something that you could do in your driveway in an afternoon. Not very difficult, definitely DIY. Additionally, something I want to highlight is mirrors for this generation truck typically require some form of leveling, but these mirrors come leveled from Boost Auto. So I did not do anything to make these mirrors level out like they should and fit properly on this truck. So features of the mirror that I optioned out was the standard black textured. It blended in well with the truck, but you could also get this in chrome, a paintable so that you can custom paint it, or you can actually request a factory color and Boost Auto will paint the mirror for you. I opted for their sequential signal and then the running light 2.0. This also has the smoked lens, but you could get it with a clear lens, which has like a chrome trim. If you're into chrome, a chrome cap with the clear lens would probably be a good option for you. And again, this is a power fold mirror. That is an option. The standard is a manual fold. And then here is the high output LED. The mirror is adjustable, power adjustable top, not bottom. That isn't even an option that you can get, but it is power defrost, I should say, top and bottom. So icy mornings or foggy mornings with a lot of moisture in the air where you might fog up mirror, this will keep the mirror nice and clear so you can use it and see. You also still maintain the red LED indicator from what the factory mirror had, so you don't lose that functionality with these mirrors. Two features that I forgot to mention was there is what they call a switchback option, which I'm not going to be able to show you, and that is where when you're doing the running light, the amber light will switch back to a white light. I don't have the white light option. I didn't think it blended that well with my particular build, but that is an option you could get. And on top of that, there is a 1-year warranty on these mirrors from Boost Auto. But again, there's much more configurability to the Boost Auto products, and I encourage you to go to their website and look at what they have for your vehicle and configure it how you want to configure it for your build. Also, here's all of the light functions. And here's visibility at night. So in short, the Boost Auto tow mirrors for these classic GM trucks, in my opinion, are the best tow mirrors available on the market. They provide so many safety features, but also convenience features, which really are safety features. Being able to adjust on the fly, power fold, all these types of things. But I think the biggest is the backup light. The backup light in the dark it's really hard to capture in video how bright it is. And every time you go in reverse, it comes on. It helps out whether or not you're backing up your truck in general, maybe out hunting, or just at a dark driveway, or backing up a trailer, because it goes down the side of the trailer and provides light to see where you in the truck and the trailer are going. So I would highly recommend these mirrors, and a link to these mirrors are in the video description. Go down there and check it out, but also check out other products from Boost Auto for your truck. Again, I'd like to thank Boost Auto for sponsoring this video, but if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to Grumpy Vet Garage, liking this video, sharing this video. To support the channel, we have a Grumpy Vet Garage merch store. Link to that store is in the video description. Additionally, we have affiliate marketing links in the video description. Using those links to make any purchase directly supports the channel. If you want to contact me, you can do so through the comment section of this video or on our Facebook or Instagram pages. Links to those are in the video description. But as always, thanks for coming and seeing me in my garage. And until next time, have a good one.